Well, hello again. It's Cheryl's Coffee. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's still October. I've got on one of my spooky Hocus Pocus shirts, and I had to have one of my Halloween cups for October. Yesterday we talked about monsters, Halloween monsters, and I tried to come up with something a little lighter, like mom issues, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. It's kind of a heavy topic today, but something that people ask me about quite a bit. And I just kind of thought I would share about it for anyone that this could be helpful or just to listen and possibly help you to discover some empathy that maybe you did not have, or just give you a little bit of insight into lives of people who have someone with special needs or medically fragile family members in their life. So those of you who know me know that I have a daughter. Well, you may not know that. So I have a daughter with special needs. She has Down syndrome, so she's considered special needs. It's not something I talk about a ton. It's not in any way a hidden secret, but I mean, we take her everywhere. It's not like we hid her away in the closet like people used to do, unfortunately, years and years ago. And I think some people still maybe do. But my husband and I, and especially me, because, moms sometimes have a little more push in the lives of their kids and the way that you end up parenting and things like that. We kind of take the primary role, not all the time, but many times. So yeah, I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and people always ask me, did you know that she was going to have Down syndrome, during pregnancy? And the answer is no, absolutely not. We had no idea. She surprised us like this little girl does a lot. I say little girl, she's 14 now, but she's more like some of her skills like a kindergartner, and then others like 8 or 9-year-old. It kind of just depends. She's not all one-sided. She has lots of little layers, but no, we had no idea. Literally the first time I laid eyes on her, I knew that she had Down syndrome before she was, and this is kind of weird, but before she was even fully birthed. So I'll tell a little story about her. So we had signs, and when I put them all together now, I'm surprised our doctor and midwife, I deliver with a team, a midwife and a doctor. Love them. They're fabulous. And same team that delivered my last one. Anyway, easy pregnancy, no issues. I didn't do any testing back then. You would have had to do the amnio, the big needle, long needle in to take out the fluid and then test the cells. And that's how they did it. You can do a blood test, which I did have done with my third child. I had no testing done with my first because I had no inclination. We have no one with autism or Down syndrome or anything like that in our family on either side of my husband and my family. But anyway, so one of the indicators is breech baby. Sometimes it's not always, but it's one of those indicators. She was breech, and at about 7.5, almost 8 months, we actually did what's called a manual version. So much fun. Where the doctor and my midwife, they literally from the outside of your stomach, put their hands and they moved the baby and moved her, and she flipped and was head down, and she stayed that way. Fabulous. But because of that, we had a lot of extra sonograms. And many times you find out during a sonogram, because you can look for facial features and length of the femur and different things, but none of that was found. Even the day of delivery, they did another sonogram to make sure she was still head down, Now, interesting, she was sunny side up. I had never heard that term until I was delivering. And the doctor said, oh, or the midwife, one of them, she's sunny side up, which means face up, because normally babies are face down and their little head goes boop and they come out. Well, this way the baby comes out, hello, mommy. And I literally looked down and saw her face, and I screamed. And I screamed like a wild banshee. No, just the word no. And my husband's looking at me like, you're a crazy lady. And I knew immediately. And they didn't say anything. She was fine. Many times babies with Down syndrome are born underweight. They go to the NICU. They have a little bit of failure to thrive. They may have bilirubin issues, all kinds of stuff. This girl had none of that because she was almost 9 pounds, 8 pounds, 10 ounces. She was huge. And she also was overdue. But with my midwife, I didn't want an inducement. And that's kind of why I have a midwife. Maybe overdue. Who knows? No, it's 40-ish weeks. Anyway, she had no issues. About 2 days later, I kept saying, something's wrong. Something's wrong with my baby. I can see it. I know it. And they're like, well, she kind of has a couple features of Down syndrome, but not all of them. And she's doing all these like she's healthy and everything's great. And I'm like, thumbs up, guys. I just know. And so came in, they did the genetic testing, and we knew within another, I guess, day or two that yes, she had Down syndrome. So it was a complete surprise and shock to everyone. But she did great as a baby. She had no issues. Unlike a lot of babies with Down syndrome, a lot of times they do have many, many, many issues. She walked at about 16 months, which isn't super late for Down's babies. And she signed and she did great. Her speech isn't fabulous, but she's a good little girl. We did have two occurrences that happen a lot is heart issues and leukemia. Who knew? So she did have heart surgery at 4 months old to repair two pieces in her heart. The flaps, the valves were not working correctly. And again, surprised us. We were supposed to be in the hospital 10-ish days and we went home after 4. She was great. No, she never lost weight. She never had any issues breathing, nothing like that. And we test for a while, it was every 6 months and you go out to a year, and she does all the heart testing, and she's good. We may have some issues later on, but for now, everything's great. She developed leukemia at age 5 and actually got the best kind that you can get for people with Down syndrome. They have the highest recovery and rate. It was over 95% of them. The medicine works and you work straight through the program. And we had very few delays in her treatment, which is unheard of. And she rocking and rolling ever since. Obviously, she has deficits. She has mental deficits. She doesn't mature the way that other kids do, speech issues. But really, on the whole, compared to her peers who have so many other things, we never had feeding issues. The girl ate anything I give her. No swallowing, no sleep apnea, no sleep issues at all. She would sleep almost 12 hours a night. I mean, like 12 weeks. She's fabulous. She is fabulous. And people are like, how do you say that? Like, she does so well. And I can't say we don't treat her differently. Obviously, we treat her differently. That would be the craziest thing in the world. But when she was little, she got spankings for doing naughty things. And I would tell people that at school or the doctor, and they're like, oh, she spanked a special needs kid. And I'm like, well, I didn't beat her. But if she runs into the street, she's going to get a spank like my other kids do, because that's actually one thing that she can understand. Can't talk to her. I can't reason with her. I can't tell her all the reasons why she shouldn't chase a ball out into the street. But one thing she will know is pain. Unfortunately, that's one thing she could understand. And she never run from us like a lot of kids with Down syndrome and autism will run and escape, and it's a fight or flight thing. And she's never done that. Thank God. She's good to her friends. She's not naughty at school. They don't have to restrain her. Things that happen to a lot of kids with special needs because they can't communicate and that kind of thing. She has none of that. She's in so many ways. She's my easiest kid. I have 3 kids, boy, girl, boy. And my boys are different like night and day. And she's my easiest kid. And people are like, what? I can't believe you say that. But she is. And I do attribute that to God just made her the way she is, that she's unique. But I also attribute it to the things that my husband and I did as parents, and not using it as a crutch, and not letting her get away with things that I see sometimes. And it's not a judgment. People, when she was going through leukemia, I let the girl eat anything she wanted. And unfortunately, I still never have a lot of snacks. She's a little overweight now, but there was a time when I was just thankful if she would eat, because she had lost so much weight during her leukemia treatments, and she couldn't gain weight, and she had no muscle tone. She stopped walking after her first, when the chemo and everything first started. She lost so much weight and muscle tone, she couldn't walk any longer. I had to carry her as a 5-year-old. And so when she was finally eating, I was celebrating. So I may be guilty of letting her have too many snacks. But the girl also will make her own food. Came inside the other day. I was outside with my other kids, came in, and I saw a little mess in the kitchen, and she had made her own guacamole. And I was like, Ashley, you're not supposed to use knives when mommy's not in the house. But she's like, you weren't here, so I made some guacamole. And I love that about her, even though I do worry she'll cut herself. But when you have a child with special needs, or let's say you had a child that is a typically developing child and you have an accident or something, there's a huge mourning process. I mourned. There's still times that I mourn, but especially when she was little, I found myself in some rough spots. And I tend to withdraw inside, which is good and bad. But you do go through a huge mourning. And other people who know that they're carrying a baby with special needs a lot of times do go through mourning in a different way, especially some of my mom friends now that told me that they were pressured to have an abortion during their pregnancy, or they feel like the pregnancy excitement was stolen from them, and that really stinks for them. So I didn't have to go through those things. With my third one, I did go through a lot of fear until we found out that he didn't have any issues. But you do mourn the things that, because I only have the one girl, that I won't ever get to do. Like I'll probably, maybe, but probably never be a mother of the bride. And I know that sounds silly, but like you think about it, when you see all your peers doing things with their daughters or sons, if you have the son, graduation will be very different for her. Prom will be very different for her. So I'll be a mom, mother of the groom, mother of the boy for prom, those kinds of things. But I was a girly girl, and well, I'm extremes. I'm either really girly girl or I can go the other way and be tomboy. But I do love hair, makeup, nails, all the things. And growing, when you're pregnant or we're thinking about having kids, you always think, okay, all of my almost, I think this is pretty typical of most parents, like all of my almost, if I can give my kid all the things I didn't have, they can have the wins that I didn't have, right? Like, so I did some low grade modeling, and I was just all me, and I thought, okay, when I have a girl, like if that's something she wants to do, I've done that before. I know more than my parents did in that avenue. Like if she wants to do that, I'm there. I had considered being a performer, a vocal performer. But my parents really didn't know. That wasn't in their wheelhouse. So I will give her lessons if that's what she wants to do. She can do plays and musicals and, like all the things that I didn't get to do, didn't have the structures, or the things in my life to set me up for those successes. I'm going to give those all to my daughter. Right. And I think that's kind of what all parents do. With your dads do that with boys. Like, oh, if I'd gotten, I was really great, but I didn't have the next step of the greatness because I didn't have these things in my life, a mentor, there's certain private lessons or whatever. And I'm going to make sure my kids gets that. And then he's going to, he'll play in college or whatever. And when you start then to mourn all of those things and know that that's not going to happen. Some things are going to happen, but it's not going to be in that way. There's a book called, I can't remember if it's Trip to Holland or Visit to Holland or something like that. And the premise is that, you're going on a vacation, right? And you think that you're going to the beach. And so you've planned all of these things. And this is likened to your pregnancy. You've planned all of these things, right? You've lost weight. You got the tan. You got the perfect bathing suit. You've got outfits for every night on the boat. You've planned the scuba event, whatever. And you're planning for 6 or 8 months for this amazing trip. And then you go and you step off the plane and you're in Holland. It's not horrible. No one's beating you. There's still food, but there's no sand. There's no beach. There's no exotic. There's none of those things. It's just it's Holland. And they liken that to the life, the parenting life of someone with Down syndrome, specifically Down syndrome. Not horrible, but the excitement and the highs that other people may feel, the wins, aren't going to happen for you and that child. And so it stinks. That really sucks. And so here I am. I was 30 years old, having my second baby, and just shock and surprise. She comes out, and I'm an educator, so I know a lot more than many people do about what it means, good and bad. So I wasn't fearful of it, but I knew what it meant. And you start, all these people, well-meaning people. I remember someone said, oh, God wouldn't give you something you can't handle. And, oh, you and your husband got a baby with special needs because you're such an amazing parent. And I'm like, I'm going to stab you. I'm literally going to stab you. Like, do you really think that's what I want to hear right now? That I'm a great parent. So I was rewarded by God giving me a child with special needs. Like, what the hell does that even mean? It's not a reward. And then you start feeling guilty for thinking that. And then you're like, oh my God, why would I? It's a child. It's a perfect child. She came out. She had no problems, whatever, like God gave me a life. Like, why would I even think that? And then it's just this cycle of like frustration, guilt, fear, sadness, and all of these cycles. And I'm a pretty like chill, even kind of person. And still it knocked me on my ass. And it would just come in waves every couple of months, just sadness and crying. And you're like, what are you doing? You have this perfect child and you have another perfect child. And, but it still hits. It still hits. Recently, I have a niece graduated from college. And I remember my sister letting me do all the things, the graduation party, helping, planning, and all that, because she knows I'm probably not going to get that. With boys, it's different. They don't want the flowers. They don't want the pictures. They don't want all the things. And so, I kind of sneak in with her on those things. So, and you start thinking about those, and it's emotional because you realize you're not going to get those things. Even with my third child, my husband and I were talking when we were like, okay, we're going to once we knew that he was okay, didn't have Down syndrome or any other chromosomal abnormalities, because with the blood test, it's so easy now to get the test done. We were like, all right, are we going to find out? So they go, you can come in and we'll have a little envelope. It'll have boy or girl inside the envelope, and you can decide when you want. And so I was like, okay, because we weren't sure what we were going to do. I wanted him to be there. Went and picked up the thing, and we're like, okay, do we want a boy or a girl? We got one of each, and our last one was a surprise. And he's like, I don't know. I kind of want a girl because we'll get to do all the things, but I kind of don't want a girl because I don't want to compare them. And I'm like, oh, you just said what I was thinking. Like, I don't want to I think dads do this too. You think you're going to have your child and it's going to be your mini me, right? And so Aslan doesn't really look like me. My daughter doesn't look like me. She's blonde hair. She does have blue eyes. All my kids have blue eyes. She's blonde. She's a chubby little girl. She has a badonkadonk. I don't. I have a flat butt. She's short as all get out. I'm tall. We really don't favor. For 9 months, you think I'm going to have a little mini me. And so I was like, I don't think I want a girl this time. Like, I know that's crazy, but I would love all the things, but it would also be a reminder. And so in God's perfect timing, he gave us a boy, who my daughter thought was her baby when he was born, because she had been waiting for 9 months and just wanted to carry him around like he was her baby. And she still calls him her baby. But, you get stuck in Holland sometimes. And thank God I do have my two boys they absolutely love her. And, having the last one was perfect for her. It's so good for her to have him, and so good for them, because some parts of it stink, like my older son going through her having leukemia. I mean, just was horrible for him as well, but it's definitely taught them empathy and love, and the way that they take care of her. Gosh, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's hard. I think every stage that she's in is another like little stab in the inner side. And people don't even, I mean, and it's nothing that people do, but like, you'll see an event like, oh, it's, a dance at school, and all the moms are there and getting the corsages and getting the whatever. And you're not, and they're, getting to be in cheerleading and athletics and dance. Not that I'm a cheerleading person. I wouldn't have wanted to anyway. It's not my forte, but all the things, and you're not, and that can weigh on you, especially if you were somebody that maybe only had one kid. I have my boys, my other children, and, I'm a pretty independent person, so it doesn't bother me. Like, of course, she's not going to get invited to sleepovers with those kinds of things. She has her little crew. I have to make it a little special effort because, they really can't plan things. They can call and they FaceTime and she'll ask to do things, but, it is still the mom's planning it like you would for younger kids. And that's okay. But the little stabs do come in and they're going to always be there, So, anyway, that's something that is hard as a parent with a special need or medically fragile, whatever you want to call a different kind of kid. Knowing that she's going to be with us forever. Like people talk about being an empty nester. I'm like, oh, what's that going to be? She won't be going anywhere. Maybe, we do have some dreams that maybe she can be in, in a facility that takes adults like her. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. I don't want to ever turn off the options for her, but I also don't want, sometimes you guard your heart and try not to get disappointed at those things. And so, I have never been one of those people that I have a love-hate relationship with like the Down Syndrome Day and the Down Syndrome Month and Inclusion Month and all of those things. And like she's not a mascot for you. Like I see sometimes well-meaning people, and it's happened sometimes with her, and I'll just politely say no, thank you, or something like that. But I'll see a video and they're cute and they're sweet, and like where they let a kid run the ball in at a football game or something like that. And I don't mind that kind of thing if it's truly out of love for that person. But when I see not some people, posting on Facebook or whatever, I'm like, okay, you don't get your rocks off by helping my kid. You don't get you're the best person in the world for whatever, because you did something nice for my kid. Like I'm not into that. Like the virtue signaling about how nice you are to special needs kids. No, no, no. So I have to be real wary that she doesn't get used in that way. And again, it may mean that sometimes she doesn't get some opportunities, but I don't know. There's inclusion. Inclusion truly means part of the group, not brought in as like everybody else is over here. And then there's the one dot, for everybody else to get there. Like, oh yeah, I'm great today. I helped a special needs kid. And I'm hypersensitive to that. I don't really know why. And I'm sure it's about me. I'm sure it's some weird thing with me. So I remember when I was in 7th or 8th grade, the inclusion thing was really just starting. So this would have been late 80s. And, the nice kids, I was a nice kid and I was high performing. So I remember them coming to our GT class and asking for volunteers who would let this boy with Down syndrome sit up with them at lunch. And I guess me and my friends said, sure, or whatever, but like literally there was no training. So literally they just brought this boy over and plopped him down at our table. And, the first few days it was okay. And we would talk to him and whatever and help him out, open his, milk and whatever. It may not have even been every day. Maybe it was one day a week. I don't really remember. And then I remember that he was about to leave or throwing his tray away, and these boys had somehow egged him into grabbing his crotch and jumping around in the middle of the cafeteria. And they were laughing, and he thought they were laughing at him in a positive way. So it egged him on, and he kept doing it, and he was laughing. And, me and the other girls were like, oh my God, we're trying to get him. Like, stop, stop, stop. And finally, one of the teachers comes over, and I was just mortified because he was grabbing his crotch, and I was like, oh my God. And so angry at those boys. And then I felt guilty because we didn't stop him. We didn't see it. And it was not a good thing. And I remember then slowly they stopped having him come to our table. I don't know if he didn't like it, if it was making his afternoons not good, or really what was happening. But I remember then seeing the mom and the boy out at a store and with his mom, and just like you could tell she was frustrated. I mean, it just, I don't know. I had this bad feeling about it. And I don't ever want somebody to feel that way about my daughter. Like, no, either you invite her over to your table because you want to see her, or it's okay. Just let her be over, but with her own friends. Like, don't do it so you can feel special. And I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But she does have a little group of friends from her elementary school. They were fabulous with her. And we will be out at stores now. And these wonderful kids, because they've been trained and they actually had some training before they just had a kid sitting with them, will come up to us and say, hi, are you her mom? She's in my class at school, or I know of her from school, and I help in PE, or I help in the art class. I help in the office, and I see her and I know her. And that's inclusion. And that's what I want. Like, I don't think we need a Down syndrome day necessarily to do all those things. So I have a love-hate relationship with that. But it's definitely a journey for me and my husband and all of our family, like them learning what we needed as support versus what I didn't like as support. And them being like very understanding. Some, yes, some it took a little longer. Very understanding of how we parent her and how, like what she needs and what she doesn't need and what she can handle. And, we can't do certain vacations, although she's pretty fabulous. As long as there's water there, she's a happy girl. If we're at the beach, she's a happy girl. But, like we're not going to go on a trek at the Grand Canyon. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to push her into something like that. But the girl can kayak. You got a kayak. She's a happy girl. And so we can, try new things and have fun. And, she keeps surprising us with her abilities and what she can and can't do. But it's definitely a journey. And she's only 14. So getting to the adulthood will be interesting. But I just wanted to share that with you today. Like I said, some of you probably know that about me and my daughter, but some of you don't, because I don't plaster it around all the time. And I don't like the sympathy part of it, and I don't post all of her. I post a lot of her wins on social media, but I don't post a lot of her. I don't even call them failures, just missed opportunities. And, I don't need people saying I'm sorry for that and feeling sorry for me, because the biggest aha I had was, I remember I had a nanny at the time, and I had left the kids with a nanny. She was coming over slowly and just getting acquainted and come over for 2 or 3 hours at a time with her. And I got out to do some stuff, and I didn't want to go home. And I was tired. I was a new mom. I had a 2-year-old and a newborn, and dealing with all that. And so I'd done some errands, and I was literally sitting at the CVS in the parking lot. I'd run in to get probably diapers and formula, the regular, and I was reading this stupid book that a doctor or somebody gave me about special needs parenting. And I was like, it's just making it worse. Like, this is not helping me in any way. And it was just like, wow, this is so crazy, and then it just hit me. When God speaks to me, he will slap me over the head because I'm stupid sometimes. And it's like the easiest thing that I should have thought of will pop into my mind, and I know it's God. Like, Cheryl, you're an idiot. And it did. It just hit me. And he was like, if you are someone who truly believes that, God has your best interest in mind, he knows exactly what's going to happen in our life, and that he does not create mistakes, who are you, Cheryl, to question my decisions? Who are you to question my perfect creation that I gave you? And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was thinking all the things that she wasn't. And like, why would God give me this kid? Like, I'm a good parent, like I'm ready to give this kid every possible advantage that I can. We had good jobs. We live in a great city. We had all these things set up for my second child to have all the things. And I was like, what an idiot I've been to sit here. Who am I to question God's divine plan? And why would I say she's imperfect? And so then it popped into my mind, this phrase, perfectly imperfect. Like, it was his perfect decision to create a child just like this for me. And so if I believe that, like I believed with my son, that God gave me the perfect son for me, and everything that he wanted me to learn and he wanted me to give to the kid, it was a perfect match. And I'm like, you better put your, what's the saying? Like, put your mouth where your whatever is. I don't even can't remember the saying, but like either you believe it or you don't, right? That she is perfectly imperfect. She has all the imperfections for the perfect situation that God wants to put you in. And it was like, ta-da! This light went off in my head, and I was like, you're right. And a wash over me of, it's going to be okay. Like a complete, it was divine intervention sitting at the CVS parking lot, not wanting to go home. And ever since that day, I'm just like, this is just what it is. It just what it is. I mean, when people would say during her leukemia, like, I can't believe you're amazing that you're going through this. And I'm like, well, do you think I'm just going to leave her at the hospital by herself? Like, what other choice is there, people? Like, I can't give her back after she's born. Can't put her back in. Can't give her back to God yet. And, not that it's not still hard. Not that it's not still days where, like I said, there's little stabs. But who am I to question God? I am no one to question God. And if I truly believe in God, then that's it. It's over. No more questioning. And it's been that way ever since. So I hope this was helpful to you or gave you a little bit of insight into my life, or someone that you may love that you may not be able to have this kind of conversation with. Or maybe when you meet a new mom that just found out, or dad, that they're going to have a baby with special needs, that maybe some of this could be helpful in their journey and in your journey as you support them. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye.